A very good evening to you. Thanks for joining us on the Thursday edition of the show. And yeah, me, Adebayo. Well, of course, the countdown to the big one, that is the playoffs on the African continent for a sport at the FIFA 2026 World Cup. It's what we get us talking today on the show. Of course, the eagerly anticipated Super Eagles squad list will also generate conversation on the show tonight. We will be talking about things happening on the domestic scene, good times for Victor Osimhen. He tossed the charts in the goal scorers list for the UEFA Champions League. We talk about all of that, all for you on the show tonight. We will also talk about of course, AFCON is upon us. We'll talk about that for you on the show. That's the outlook of the show. As always, we urge you to sit back, relax, even as we take you on this trip across the money-spinning, rewarding, entertaining world of sports. This is the two-man show. My colleague, Austin Okonakpan, is suited and ready as we go along on this ride.
You wherever you are in the world watching us. In London, I'm Austin Okonakpan. What sort of dirty politics is going on with Africa's football? After South African officials were appointed for that crucial playoff match between Nigeria and Gabon, Yemi, I've talked about it over and over again that for Africa's football to move forward, then there must be some level of decency, accountability, and kick off any form of politics. We'll talk about that one on the show, as we'll also keep our eyes on Nigeria and what the country is doing, particularly for that crucial playoff. Where is the Super Eagles list? What's going on? Now, with grassroots football development, I like some of the conversations that I'm hearing out of Lagos with the Lagos Liga, because we need to start looking at the foundation, going back to the basics. The AFCON 2025 will also get us talking. How many more days to go? The Super Eagles made it to the final the last time. Do they have what it takes this time? The mentality, particularly with everything that has been happening with the team. Can they get us talking again? Can they do it again? Yeah, I don't know. But let's talk sports.
All right, I'm with you on that one. I don't know as well. But let's introduce the man who might know, Damlola Olifade. Joins us on the show tonight. Damlola, greetings to you. What a day to be here to talk sports. Thanks for braving the odds to be here with us tonight.
Yemi, it's good to be here. Hopefully this time next week, we'll be talking about the Super Eagles playing in the final of the playoffs. Hopefully this time next week.
That's the operative word here in this part of the world. We're always praying, we're always hopeful. All right, so let's move on the show and talk about what it is. I'm going to go across the screen now. 6 days to the big one. 6 days to the big one. Talking about that big game. And we're going to talk about the ramifications of what it is. There you have it on your screen, a confirmation of what I've said. There's hope, there's optimism in the air. The spirit has shifted, if I could use the slang on the streets. There's no despondency as it was before. Now there is the feeling that Nigeria should still be able to make it to the World Cup. And we're going to know in 6 days' time, we're going to know whether or not we're still going to be in a reckoning for a place. 6 days before Nigeria plays against, of course, Gabon out there in Morocco. And hopefully in the African playoffs, it will be good for Nigeria. Damlola, let me get your thoughts. The question, and Austin talked about it, where's the Super Eagles list? Although we must also backtrack a little and talk about, okay, FIFA law, what does it state? When is the stipulated time? When can you probably release or delay it, or those kind of things? But the question out there on the street, where's the list? Maybe you know.
I don't. I don't. The thing about the list is, by now we expect that the list should have been out. The players that will be prosecuting these playoffs will be playing their final game before the FIFA window this weekend. And I expect that by now the clubs are informed, the players are aware. So for whatever reason...
Okay, let's play devil's advocate. Could it be that the authorities, maybe Eric Shell, just want to take a final look at the Europa games today and see if any of those players probably gets injured or probably make up his mind. Although the question will now be, does that show seriousness?
It definitely is. In fact, you read my mind. I was going to say that if that's what we're doing, then we're not serious. We're not serious. I mean, I do not expect at this level that this team list will have a dramatic change from the team that prosecuted against Benin Republic. Okay. Except for maybe one or two players that probably, maybe if we have any that's not eligible, maybe one or two probably struggling with a niggling injury. And
so the issue of if somebody gets injured or not, it doesn't really
how do you deal with that? You have some players on standby. That's how to deal with that. It's that simple. There is a way out. You have your regular list of 18 to 23, depending on whatever you choose to do, and then you probably have another 5 or 6 on your standby list. And usually what you do with the standby list is that where the team seems to be slim, where if you have an injury, I mean, we've even seen team sheets where there is an injury like today, and the coach will refuse to bring in any other person. Tells you I have enough backup.
All right, let's listen to also, probably has his ears to the ground and is able to hear a few things. I mean, also, I don't know if there's any reason, succinct enough, if there's any reason or anything that holds water as to why the list is not out. I was trying to play the devil's advocate. It was very, very hard playing the devil's advocate, explaining why. And especially if you look at what we've been through, the trauma, it's traumatic. Why does this thing have to happen all the time? And you would think that with all we've been through, we've learned our lessons, we're now going to be proactive and be doing things the right way, then we're here again.
You know, I mean, it's tiring, it's frustrating, At this point, you want to expect that with everything that we've been through, that even right after, beating Benin Republic, Eric Shell comes out and say, look, I know my team, we are ready, tell us, let's go, we can go out there, I was speaking to some of my sources, and truly, I just wanted the team to breathe, Maybe I need to send Eric Shell a message tomorrow, because I said, okay, let me wait, because we don't want any form of distraction. But some of my sources have said things that made me question them again. They say, oh, it's strategic. Oh, the other countries are watching. Until one said that Eric Shell also wants to try new play. I said, did I hear new? Where? For what? How? Unless you're bringing someone in the mold, in the frame of Victor Osimhen, that you will just come in there and boom, right away, is giving us goals, is scoring hat tricks, left, right, and center. Because I don't understand. We've seen players called up to this Eric Shell's team for the qualifiers and they don't get to kick a ball. So if you want to distract yourself again by inviting new players in a crucial World Cup playoffs against a tricky Gabonese team, then there's a problem. I can take that, it's strategic, they want to see what the other guys are doing, they want to see the other players that they are calling, but this is the Super Eagles of Nigeria, the premium football team of Nigeria, that with any of these guys that we are watching right now can go out there and execute the mission, because we shouldn't be in this situation where we found ourselves. So I want to take that source that told me it's strategic, they're observing other teams. Okay, let's see. Just 3 teams you need to observe. You beat Gabon and then you play the winner between Congo, DR, and Cameroon. So if we know that team on a good day, I mean, in the last 5 years, Cameroon hasn't been a threat to us. No disrespect to Congo. They cannot stand Nigeria when you talk about football, particularly when it's this state of emergency football.
On a good day.
We need to see.
No. We have to backtrack. On a good day, they can't stand. But
you see in
the recent past,
to say on a good day, because from now till we qualify for the World Cup, every day should be good days.
Okay,
that's the level that our football has reached. On a good day, Benin Republic was a good team. On a good day, Benin Republic deserves to be at the playoffs. But when it mattered most, Nigeria, boom, 4-0. So every day from now till we qualify for the World Cup must be good days, and that's why they must act. But one of the sources say, okay, let's wait till Friday and let's see if that list will come out. We need to know the list. The players need to get into the mindset, start the psychological work, They need to own that responsibility that we are going as a group to not play a football match. It's a battle to qualify for the World Cup, Yemi.
It is, and Lola, look, we're clutching straws here. We're trying to grab the team. I don't know. But you see, how can it be strategic? I'm trying to understand. Gabon has released. What are you hiding for? You said something and Austin has reiterated. We should just take things from the last game and probably take out and be careful not to get into the South African situation. Look at players who are on suspension and just remove only. So we should know at least 20.
No, the truth is, even that, you can't be doing that now.
Can't even be doing
the last game against the Republic was close to a month ago, if not a month. And so you expect that 48 hours after that game, the technical department of the NFF will have looked at the team, those on yellow cards, probably confirmed from FIFA, because I'm not even sure if the yellow card from that qualifiers will
before we go back to us, let me just say this, so that, we're supposed to be neutral on the show, and I'm trying my best, but patriotism sometimes. I want you to speak as a fan. We're all journalists, but I want you to speak as a fan. Can you tell me any player, not currently in the Super Eagles squad, that can improve, that you know of, or any new player that at this crucial moment warrants a call-up? A player that could come and improve that team at this moment. Do you know one?
I don't. And the reason is this. I'm not saying the player does not exist. The reason is this. For the national team, do not forget that the Super Eagles camp will open on Sunday, but we know that none of these foreign-based players will get to camp on Sunday. They probably come in on Monday. Serious training will start on Tuesday. For the games to be played on Thursday. So no matter how talented that player is, if he's coming to that team for the first time, what kind of influence or role will he be playing under 48 hours of training with the team? So for me, we can, like you said, we can make all the excuses that we like. And we are permitted to, unless there is an official communication on why we have this delay. You just have to pick on possible what could have led to this situation. And I still insist that I do not see why, at this point, a coach will be thinking of any serious change in this team unless somebody is injured and you want a replacement. And I will even believe that your replacement should not be the new player. The new player should be the backup. Whoever was on the bench while that player was playing should be the one that should play, because he has been with the team, he has trained with the team, and then he understands what you probably want him to do on the pitch better than a fresh player.
All right, let's talk about the officials, because that's also generating conversation. I'm just going to go across now, and I don't know if it's supposed to be an issue, but a lot of noise has been made about it, and you could understand why the noise is coming. Nigerians are very skeptical. Anything that has to do with South Africa because of the recent history, and so this is what it is. Nigeria versus Gabon, the match officials. Talking about the playoffs. Abongile Tom, the center referee, Zakele Tusi, his assistant, Granville, Siwela, Hughes, Alain, Adjovi is the match assessor. Of course, he's not from South Africa. But also, let's quickly talk about it. I wanted to say on a good day, but normally, they're not from the region that the two countries come from. So it shouldn't be an issue. But there are a lot of accusations flying around, fingers are being pointed. Objectively, do you feel there's something amiss?
Look, I was going to say I'm tempted, but let me just say the way it is. There's a dirty politics going on. Very dirty politics going on in the Confederation of African Football against Nigeria. And again, it exposes the leadership of the Nigeria Football Federation. Yes, they have contested this. I saw the letter they wrote to FIFA saying it's conflict of interest. I agree, and that FIFA should show neutrality. Yemi, 5 years ago, this wouldn't be a problem. It's Nigeria. We'll go out and do what we need to do. But now that South Africa is in the mix, The central referee is from South Africa. The assistant referees, South Africa. The head of the video assistant referee from South Africa. And the referee's assessor is from Benin Republic. It's conflict of interest, hear me? Because we just came out of a very crucial Group C. It was a fight. That it was on the final day that South Africa picked the ticket to the World Cup. And Nigeria beat Benin Republic on that day to stop them. I'm not saying these persons are not professional. I'm not saying they are not objective, but football is serious business. And Patrice Motsepe should know this. Even if disappointment is coming from FIFA, say, I'm the president of the Confederation of African Football. Lately, there's serious tension going on between Nigeria and South Africa. How can the Minister of Sports, Arts and Culture in South Africa, Gayton McKenzie, after South Africa qualified for the World Cup, he came out, he was on a radio show hosted by Robert Marawa in Johannesburg, and he said that he doesn't like Nigeria. He gave hate comments with his full chest. He was so uncouth, so unprofessional. Such a person should not be associated with our world of sports. Zero sportsmanship. He was so unguided. He said he doesn't wish Nigeria to qualify for the World Cup, that instead of Nigeria, a smaller team from Africa should go, that he would do everything possible. No. With that statement, and it was everywhere. With that statement, FIFA shouldn't have done that. I said it, that FIFA should probe South Africa one more time. For the Minister of Sports to come out and say that sort of thing, South Africa, you've qualified for the World Cup, Nigeria is in the playoffs, and you are just coming out to condemn Nigeria's efforts. Why? That it was not Lesotho that fought for FIFA to dock South Africa 3 points. You did the wrong thing. You ignored player eligibility, and you committed that breach, and you said FIFA was not going to come for you. By the way, they used politics to also delay FIFA's verdict. Yes, I know that. I know what I know. And when FIFA eventually acted, they now started saying it because Nigeria put pressure. What are you talking about, South Africa? Nigeria wanted to qualify for the World Cup. Benin Republic wanted to qualify for the World Cup. South Africa wanted to. Lesotho wasn't in the conversation. And you're saying that FIFA shouldn't act and that it was because Nigeria pushed. So with that now, South Africa, led by Gayton McKenzie, their minister, they are out. No, FIFA, we will not accept this one because they can influence those officials. They can talk to them. They are South Africans. Right. And this is what we should kick against Damilola. I want the Nigeria Football Federation not to just stop with that letter. Damilola, don't you think we should petition it and make sure that those officials are changed?
I think we have to do all we have to do to get them changed. I totally agree with you. There is a politics going on that for me is a bit irritating. Because Yemi was talking about regions. I mean, you could have gone to North Africa. This game is actually going to be played in North Africa. Why do we need South African officials and Benin Republic officials? These are two teams that we competed with in the last group. I also think that the other problem why this probably happened, and they thought they would get away with it, was because the NFF had also been too docile. You see, I always say this, and I've said it countless times on this show, that it is not enough for you to be talented. You must understand the business and the politics.
You know, Damilola, I have to pause you there. I was about to butt in to ask that is the conflict of interest clear-cut, but it seems that Austin and yourself, you've made the case. So let's go on a break. When we return from that break, we'll continue with this train of thoughts, talking about this issue, shedding more light on what is playing out behind the scenes that may or may not affect Nigeria's chances of qualifying for the World Cup. Let's go on that break and return for more. Sports Fight. Well, I'm going to allow you to finish up. This matter is a hot potato at this point, and if we go on and on without cautioning ourselves, we'll spend the whole time on it. So I take back what I was about to ask before Austin started talking, and is this clear-cut? This is enough. Yeah, for these South African officials to be recused from this game.
This particular game, yeah. I totally agree with you.
But what if we don't have our way? Well, should it be an excuse in the bag?
Now, if we don't have our way, it will be an excuse depending on the performance of the referee on the day. I mean, we all to some extent know the rules of the game, and we understand. The referee plays a major role. The referee can make it difficult for you, can intimidate you, can make calls against you that will frustrate your players. So we must also, if we don't get our way, we must be prepared for those kind of situations where we get into the pitch. And the players must know that no excuse will be good enough for us not to go to the World Cup. They must take the bull by the horn. But I hope we don't get to that point. I hope the FIFA does the needful by changing these officials. But I was making a point the other time that things like this will continue because for me, the entire blame also goes back to the NFF because of what happened in the group stage of the qualifiers. You had a group where South Africa is an opponent, Benin is an opponent. Zimbabwe and Lesotho did not have a good enough stadium, including Benin. Benin also did not play at home. And then Zimbabwe and Lesotho decided to play their home games in South Africa, and they are going to play against South Africa. I mean,
there was no protest.
There was no protest, nothing. It was until when the qualifiers looked difficult that we started realizing that maybe NFL should have protested. I mean, who does that? Who does that? So these things will happen when people know that you will not speak out. And I honestly believe that they did this not knowing that Nigeria is going to raise any eyebrow.
I mean, I was saying, I didn't want to ask you this, but you know, Damilola's assertion has prompted me to ask this. Maybe we just try to answer so that we can move on. I thought that having Nigerians in some key positions would be to avert situations like this. I feel people who parade themselves as, oh, I'm here for the interest of Nigeria, we're doing it. I felt that would be the reason why some of these things will not happen. A country as big as Nigeria, getting slapped, tossed around, I mean, like little babies, it's pathetic, it's really sad. And it also boils down to the point that those saddled with the responsibility are not proactive. The damage is done in this case, but my question is, maybe a bit retrospective, is the people that are Nigerians are in some of these decision-making bodies, are they just folding their hands and looking?
They're not in any decision-making bodies. I mean, they are in ceremonial roles, and even
no. What I mean is, like for instance, Damilola just said it. The NFF could have protested. It got to a point where you now saw that this thing is going to be a challenge because they knew these things beforehand. And you know, when I say individuals, I'm not referring to anybody in particular, but what I'm just saying is that, okay, you have an NFF who should, you know, be doing things in the interest of the country, and all of these things are happening. The media is even making much noise, in most cases, than the football house.
Look, that's because we own the game, and we understand that leadership has always been a problem. I've always said it, that everything rises and falls on leadership. The NFF, they have protested this one. I know they protested yesterday evening when they saw the appointment, so they were prompt with that. But FIFA said no, they have done the appointment. But it's what we call it back home, it's see finish. You know, when you have some sets of leaders that people are like, is it this one? You know, is it this type of, you know, I think that's just what is going on. We need to get people that they don't just understand this sport called football. They have the personality. Yeah, I mean, you see what Mosepe is doing. He knows that he has that business personality for football in Africa, that when you want to question it, he will say, have you gone to see some of the investments that I've done? And now he's got the yam and the knife, and he's South African, and they are using it to their good. Now, there is no way Mosepe can turn away from this. So let's imagine that we've got persons that's got this personality that I'm talking about, even before this appointment is made, Yemi. You would have used some level of, look, I've been in this job that when I want to get an information, I know when to start talking to somebody even before something is made, something is done. And because I'm with the ethics of journalism, I know I'll protect that source. I know the source will tell me what I want to hear. So if you have persons that have personality, running things in CAF and FIFA, and you know that you command respect, because respect is earned. You know that if you step into the room, people can't mess with you. You're the light. You're a policy maker. You're a decision-making person. We don't have those kind of persons. As in, it's so heartbreaking that how can they look at Nigeria and the way we have struggled to reach the playoffs, and you will give us South African officials? Says they took us to a cattle ranch in Bloemfontein to go and play.
And they got
dirty politics.
And they got away with
They
it.
played rugby on that pitch 2 days before a crucial match. And I was listening to the chief executive officer of South African Football Association, Lydia Monyepoa. She said that they wanted to try to make it be as difficult as it could be for Nigeria. All I know is not still playing football today called that bad pitch. Wilfred Ndidi got injured. Even Hugo Bruce didn't like it, but he just had to accept the dirty politics. Yemi, see finish. It's disrespect. Now, after doing that, they took their final game against Rwanda to Mbompela. And what was South Africa's excuse for doing that to Nigeria? They said because Lesotho had picked Bloemfontein, that Lesotho had played them at the Free State Stadium in your own country, so now they were compelled to stay there. Can you just imagine that sort of senseless talk? And that's why I'm so pissed, because this shouldn't be happening with football in Africa. Football has got the power to unite the world. We shouldn't be using it for this. They did this to frustrate Nigeria. And I'm saying what I'm saying, that even if there is nothing that had happened before now, Damilola Onifade, the fact that the Minister of Sports in South Africa, Gayton Mackenzie, can come out and make those uncouth comments, those unprofessional statements about Nigeria, then we shouldn't be having South African officials.
I totally agree with you, Austin. We shouldn't. I don't see how FIFA wants to defend this. I don't see how CAF wants to defend this. We shouldn't. For the sake of fairness, we shouldn't. You mentioned something that I think CAF has to take cognizance of, and even FIFA to a large extent. If you allow this type of dirty politics in football, particularly in Africa, where we still expect the game to keep developing, what you are actually doing, you are demarketing the game. Listen, a game between South Africa and Nigeria is supposed to draw global attention, but who is going to watch when you are playing on a terrible pitch? Do you understand what I'm saying? I mean, South Africa, Nigeria is as good as saying France against Germany. Yeah. Anywhere in the world, people want to see that game. That's a game that you even intentionally ensure does not clash with big games across other continents, so that at least every eyeball, football fans, is on that particular game. If you have to schedule it to 8 p.m. or 9 p.m., you play it at that time so that everybody will be able to watch it.
All right. Yeah, I didn't want us to fall into that trap. We almost did. So let's move on. Let's move on. As you can see, let's talk about something that is interesting and will get us talking. Also talk about it. 45 days, the countdown has begun. The next Africa Cup of Nations, the AFCON, 45 days to go. Of course, we'll be in Morocco. Science that delivered. The Super Eagles will be there. We got into the final the last time. We didn't expect that we were, but change of tactics and a few other things, we got there. All right, so our focus is in Group A, Morocco. We'll take on teams like the Comoros. Of course, Mali will play Zambia. That's what it looks like. Tournament starts in December 21 to be precise. And so match day 1 is what you're seeing. Special focus on Group A, Morocco, Mali, Zambia, and Comoros. All right, in that order. Easily, you want to say maybe Morocco and another team on current form, maybe Mali. I'm not a betting person. I usually turn out to be wrong, so I don't even try it. But something in me says Morocco, Mali. But Damilola, that's why you're here. You look at this, and I think anybody would say Morocco and any other person.
I don't even know why you're using maybe for Morocco. I honestly don't understand.
I'm trying to sit on the fence.
I get out of that fence across to the other side. Morocco's clearly, I mean, they are the better side talent-wise. They are playing at home. They have the infrastructure. They have the players. Sitting down here, you can point to 3, 4 Moroccan players that you classify as world-class players. I mean, in this team. I mean, and they are better experienced. They got to the semi-final of the last World Cup, and they've not done the mistake that most African teams do.
But they didn't do well in the last AFCON.
They didn't do well in the last AFCON. They actually don't do well in AFCON. But I think that this one, is made for Morocco to get to the latter stages. I'm not saying they're going to win it. Because I also think that there is a bit of that Morocco side that they probably will keep doing well at the World Cup than Africa. I don't think they are physical enough
for the African
game. That's if they can add that to that game, I think they have what it takes.
All right, let me go to Austin. I wasn't planning to ask you this, but let me just say this, and maybe Damilola will take a bite at it later on. The scheduling and, fixture congestion and everything, do you think some of these guys will prioritize going to the World Cup later in 2026 and avoid maybe coming to the Nations Cup? Or do you think some of the clubs might have some tricks that they might come up with that may stop us from seeing the best of African stars at the AFCON?
But the good thing is these guys are beginning to understand that African football is on the rise. We've put some respect on our game when we, normalize the calendar that we don't care what's going on in Europe. We'll do our own business. Yes, we always see club versus country row. That's because some of these players, they look at it and, what am I coming to do in Africa? These people are not serious. That's why I will forever frown at the dirty politics that is happening. Let's just play football for the love of the game. Let's open up the space. Let's use it to unite the continent. Let's use it to make this world a beautiful place. So it's for the big players, because December, Christmas, we'll be playing the AFCON. We've never had that before, So it's for the big clubs and the big players that we're definitely going to see some of those conversations. But some countries, they're beginning to say that, look, we're serious with African football. It's actually our own way of letting this world know that we're talented, that we've got our own market, that we can actually mean something. It's actually good when you look at 2-3 players in a European club side, and when they are not there, that team is struggling. That said, I would like to see our best players come to play at the AFCON, irrespective of what the clubs think. They will do their shenanigans. They will cook up stories. They will say, oh, the player is injured. They will bring medical this and that. But can you remember when Barcelona wanted to stop Lionel Messi from going to the Olympics? Man hired himself a private jet and left their camp. Because he's Lionel Messi. He knows they're not going to do anything to him. They didn't want him to go. And he did. Shout out to Mikel Obi also, when Chelsea wanted to keep him. And that put him into troubles with the coach when he got back. But he wanted to take the Olympics for his country, and he left, So this is the Africa Cup of Nations, the biggest football tournament in Africa, Europe, America, Asia, all over the world. They must respect that and know that when players are called up to represent the motherland, it's not for you to start looking for ways that they will not be part of it. So it will be good to see our top players come out. This is a peculiar AFCON. Let's see. They got us talking the last time in Cote d'Ivoire. This time around, let's also get talking. And with that group that you just showed, yes, you can take Morocco out of it, Damilola, but there's a giant killer in there. You guys don't forget. There's a country that stopped Ghana. They are Comoros. Don't look away from them. They will shock people again at this coming AFCON.
All right, let's see. We'll wait and see. All right, let's quickly talk about match day 2, Morocco and Mali, Zambia and Comoros. That's match day 2, December 26th. And let's quickly flip to match day 3. And there you have it, Zambia, Morocco, Comoros, and Mali. So we see what happens with that one. All right, let's quickly switch gears. And, of course, we want to cover all our bases tonight on the show. Let's talk about the Nigeria Premier Football League. Damilola, 2 rescheduled matches today, and similar score lines in both games.
Yeah, well, it is what you expect for Rivers United. I think it's a good one that at least they went away to Bendel Insurance to get that draw. Bendel Insurance is still a struggle despite the change of coach. Kennedy Boboye is there. I think the last time as well they played a draw over the weekend, 1-1, scored first in that one, but they didn't score in this one. But you expect it. Rivers United is doing way better coming from the continent as well. So I think Raymond Stars is the biggest struggle for me this season, and hopefully they can get out of this situation.
All right, we'll see what happens with that one. All right, so let's quickly move on the show and talk about. Okay, that's it on your screen. Nasarawa United defeated Remo Stars. Initially, I said similar score. It wasn't similar, actually. That's why United, a victory in that one. Defeated Remo Stars, Bernal Insurance, played a draw with Rivers United. But of course, I do agree with that. Maybe by the time Remo Stars start playing all of these games that they missed while on the continent, they probably will be up there where we expect them to be. All right, let's move on the show. We have a few minutes before the clock winds down, but let's quickly talk about Victor Osimhen. He is the man of the moment. He currently leads the goal scorers chart in the UEFA Champions League with 6 goals. Man, currently doing so well for themselves. Grabbed a hat-trick yesterday against Ajax. A lot of people may want to explain it away. Ajax just sacked their manager. They've been having problems, but to score 3 goals on a European night, there's no way you can water it down. And of course, it also gives us joy to know that this is going to be the man that will lead the Super Eagles attack in the next 2 matches. I'm very sure our opponents are already running scared. I don't know if you think so, Austin.
Of course, yeah. I mean, this guy, the way he plays football, his hunger, his determination, his commitment, you know, his heart for the game. You see the way he was hustling in that game against Ajax. I was like, man, his energy, what he brings into the game is immense, you know, and they love him so much. He becomes the first Galatasaray player to score, you know, a brace back-to-back in the UEFA Champions League, and then he wrapped it up with a solid hat-trick. He has scored 6 goals. This is the type of form you want for all Super Eagles players as we get ready for the playoffs, you know. If everybody has been given, you know, this sort of performance, definitely would have qualified for the World Cup, you know, with games to spare. But shout out to Victor Osimhen. It's a clear testament that the European teams that didn't sign him, they will be wondering and asking themselves, yes, they've come out to say things like, oh, it's his character, oh, he might not be able to, you know, play with his teammates. Man, he's turning out big numbers, Damilola, against big teams. So a small Galatasaray. I'm sure clubs in Europe, they'll now be saying, ooh, how can we get this guy?
Well, I don't know. I'm even surprised that Osimhen eventually stayed at Galatasaray. I thought he would have moved to a bigger club, but because his talent is not in doubt.
Yeah.
The talent is not in doubt. The ability is not in doubt. And I also don't believe that funny talk of he can't play with his players. I mean, when you put him in a team, you have to play. He has to play to the strength of the team. Every player comes in and adapts to the team, or the team adapts to the player. I don't think that is a problem. I think there is something else that they are probably not telling us. And it's not about attitude. I mean, with all due respect, Balotelli played for top European clubs with all the attitude and I'm not sure Osimhen is half as...
no, not in any way close.
Not any way close, so that's not even an excuse. But it's good for us that Osimhen is there. I hope he keeps this consistency going. I think for the Super Eagles, I still do not think that we are getting the best out of Osimhen. I think in the Super Eagles, we still make Osimhen do a bit too much because we don't set our team to supply.
We don't unleash him as a weapon.
We don't unleash him in fact, we expect Osimhen, probably not, the only thing we don't expect Osimhen to do is to goalkeep.
He does
practically everything. And I think we are demanding a bit too much. Like in basketball, you use the word support cast. The support cast of the Super Eagles must step up. Like Austin said, if every Super Eagles player play at this level consistently, there's no reason why we are struggling.
Yeah, there's no reason why we should be struggling. I mean, Austin, this probably might be our party shot, or we'll come back to the Osimhen story. I mean, I wasn't planning to say this. Again, I wasn't planning to say this. But talking about the Super Eagles, Ademola Lookman, well, not in the news for the kind of reasons that we would love. I probably wouldn't have brought it up, but because it is a few days to that crucial encounter, you know, with what happened, that, you know, should I call it a mild drama that happened between him and his coach? You know, a lot of people were beginning to wonder, will his mind be in the right place? I mean, you could go on and on about whether or not the coach should have laid his hands on him and some of those issues. Talking about the support cast for Victor Osimhen, those are the players that should raise the game and ensure that we can unleash Victor Osimhen as a weapon. But I'm looking at this from the Super Eagles perspective, not even for the player.
That's right.
Do you think his mind will be in the right place with all of this? We thought he was going to settle down, but now we are having this.
Oh, it will be. I mean, these guys are top professional. And Mola is one of them. That's one player that I'm so proud of him and his growth. I do not understand why these trials and tribulations are just, falling on Ademola Lookman. What a player. No, it won't do anything. You remember when they called him, he was not even training with Atalanta at the time. And he came and he gave his best, and he's a dedicated player, work ethics, 100%, top professional. Yes, but I understand mental health, psychological play, those things will just be coming up because we are in the age now where the internet never forgets. Mainstream media says it will now land on social media where persons will keep talking about it. But I've lived in the United Kingdom now for 5 years. We can talk and talk and have a go with words, Yemi, but by the time you place your hands on someone, then you're wrong. Then the police should pick you up. That's assault. I do not know what Coach Uric was thinking about. How can you do that? I don't understand the level of disrespect these guys have for African players. And this one, I want to blame Ademola Lookman, his dad, his agent. He has no reason to still stay in Italy.
Yeah.
Because this is just complete disrespect. Manchester United wanted him. I have friends that are youth coaches in Manchester United. They kept chasing him. If you were saying, oh, you want to stay in Italy to show in Atalanta, Inter Milan came, they frustrated Inter Milan. Juve came, they frustrated them. Just leave.
Yeah.
Just leave. You are 28. You'll be 29 next year, and they're treating you this way. Your value is dropping. How can a coach push his player out of the way? Oh, Lord.
Yeah, our producer quickly reminded me now, just to put this in perspective, of course, he won't be able to play the next game because of the accumulation of cards. But of course, if we cross that hurdle, it will definitely be available.
But Ademola Lookman missed the last match here. He didn't play the last match because of his yellow cards.
Oh, okay. So it means that's cleared up. All right. So, okay. Yeah. All right. That cancelled it out. So I guess I was on the right path. All right. So Europa League is what we want to quickly take a look at some of the results. Some matches played today. And so let's see if we can get some of the live results. I know Austin should be able to refresh and get us some of the results. Damlola, these days a feast of football going on across Europe, and it's heartwarming to have, in both prestigious competitions, to have Nigerians.
Yeah, I think that's the beautiful thing, to have Nigerians playing there. When Genetro was here, he kept saying something particularly that the reason why we might not get the best out of our players is that at that stage, at that time, we do not have players playing for the top leagues. And he was right. He said because the consistency of playing at that level helped the players to develop their skill set and their ability and even their confidence. And we can see it in the current Super Eagles. I just want to say a word on the Ademola Lookman thing. Yeah. I think the only challenge we're having with Ademola Lookman is that apparently at club level he's not happy. He's not happy. And I think he seems to be that kind of player that his mood affects the way he performs. And I think if he can just switch out of that, I hope for the sake of Atalanta themselves, they're also not doing well. If they can just sit down and just iron things out, okay, let's just mend fences until the end of this season.
So that we can move benefit.
Then we can get
benefit. I guess that's a good place to leave it. That's unless, of course, Austin has anything to say in the next 10 seconds about what's going on in the Europa League.
Oh, UEFA Champions League, some results already concluded. FC Basel defeated FCSB. We used to know them as FC Steaua Bucharest back in the day. They won that game by 3-1. Dynamo Zagreb lost at home to Celta Vigo by 3-0. Can you believe that? Let's see some of the live games going on. 43 minutes already played in that game between Aston Villa and Maccabi Haifa, and it's still goalless. Boyogna and Brann also goalless. Ferencváros, they have a 1-0 lead against Ludogorets Razgrad. That game just approaching halftime, Yemi. Rangers, the struggle continues. They are down at home by 2-0 to AS Roma. Whew. That's it. That's the show in London. I'm Austin Okonakpan. In everything you do, remember to keep talking sports. Bye for now.
All right, this is a wrap here in Lagos as well, but I want to thank, of course, our friend Dablola Onifadi for his time on the show today.
Yeah, Yemi, it's good to be here. I think Rangers are paying for the way they treated Sudezas. I'll leave it at that.
All right. Different Rangers, same result. All right, that's the show today. We do hope you enjoyed everything. Still one more edition before the week runs out. Enjoy the rest of your day. We'll see you tomorrow. I'm Maybe at the bye. Bye-bye.